target audience is 13 and up.
Bomberman has been around for a long time, and there's a good chance that you've played it at least once, probably for about 5 minutes before you said, "This is boring," and never touched another Bomberman game again. What I didn't know until starting to do research on the history of Beyblade is that Bomberman is intrinsically tied to B-DAMAN and also helped influence the creation of Beyblade as a whole. This led me down a rabbit hole of doing research on Bomberman as well as B-DAMAN and how they're intrinsically tied together and their influences on Beyblade. So today we're going to talk about it. But first, we're going to talk about our sponsor. Buyee is a proxy shipping service from Japan and allows access to websites that normally aren't accessible outside of Japan. Things like Yahoo Auctions, as well as Yahoo Shopping, Mercari Japan, and several other shops. It's a great way to import things from Japan, whether it's video games, anime merch, or anything else that you could think of that you would want to order through Japan. This allows you to avoid the inflated prices of scalpers on eBay and buy directly from sellers in Japan. You can access the site normally through a desktop or a laptop. I typically use the app, which is available on iOS and Android. They have great customer service and have several different payment options, including PayPal and credit card. And the website and the app is super easy to navigate. All you do is search for whatever it is you're looking for. They also have an auto-translate feature, so you can check the description of the items in your native language, which is super helpful. The service is very easy. All you have to do is search for whatever it is that you're looking for, and then you purchase the item. It gets shipped to Buyee's warehouse, and then they can inspect it, pack it all up for you, and then ship it to you. It's a great service, and like I said, it's a proxy service that I've been using for years, and I really like their customer service, and I really like the interface of their website and their app. It's super easy to use, and I highly recommend it if you're trying to import things from Japan. It's just significantly cheaper overall. I will have a link pinned in the comments as well as in the description where you guys can sign up and get 2,000 yen off of your first purchase. And another big thank you to Buyee for sponsoring this video. So my first introduction to B-DAMAN was Battle B-DAMAN, which came out in North America after the end of G-Revolution, the third series of Beyblade. They started putting flyers inside the Beyblade packaging for this new series called B-DAMAN, which is like a reimagining of the game Marbles. I feel like most people either loved or hated this show. It's weird, it's set in like a Western setting with guns being replaced with B-DAMAN. The show's super serious and then not at all at the same time. But before we get to B-DAMAN, we have to talk about Bomberman, because without it, there would be no B-DAMAN. So, unbeknownst to me, Bomberman is insanely popular in Japan and has an obscene amount of games. So, it makes sense that a toy company would want to base a toy off of the franchise. And how do you do that? With Bomberman, who shoots out bombs? Well, create B-DAMAN. They shoot out marbles. It's probably as close as you can get. The tie-in was fairly popular, enough to warrant a manga and an anime. Bomberman Bakugaiden, the anime, ended up running for a couple seasons, and from what I can gather was actually pretty popular. And I think the toy line was fairly successful as well. So with that being said, Takara had an issue. Their toy line was based off of a video game character, and all of their toys had to follow the design aesthetic of Bomberman. Which initially a tie-in can be a good thing for a toy line, because it can kind of ride the coattails of the success of the franchise that it's based off of. But when you're trying to expand the product line and you're limited to one character, that's a problem. And the issue isn't Bomberman's popularity, because the series was very popular at the time. The Super Bomberman franchise on the Super Famicom had 5 sequels, and the games continued to innovate the gameplay, and progressively, I think, got better. But I think the B-DAMAN franchise had already milked Bomberman for what it was worth, so Takara had to make some changes. So Takara releases its first B-DAMAN spin-off, I guess you could say, with Super B-DAMAN. The manga started in 1995 and ran for 15 volumes. So the main character, Tamago, is a 5th grader who loves B-DAMAN and initially starts out with a Bomberman-themed B-DAMAN, but is later replaced with a Super B-DAMAN. And from that point forward, all of the main characters that would be introduced would have their own unique B-DAMAN separated from the Bomberman line. An anime for the series launched in 1999 in January and ran for 18 episodes until October 1st of 1999, right before the release of Beyblade. So the anime only having 18 episodes, I'm not sure how it could encompass the full plotline of the manga. I haven't finished the anime yet. There's no fan sub for it, so making my way through it has been slow. I'm not sure if interest at this point had started to dwindle, and that's why it didn't get renewed for a second season, but I don't think it's a coincidence that Beyblade had launched around the same time that B-DAMAN ended, so maybe that was a factor. Maybe Takara saw the success of Beyblade and decided to throw most of their eggs into that series. But I have no doubt the series saw at least some success during its initial run through the manga, as Takara released, from what I can gather, over 100 different products for the series. One of the things that kind of confuses me about the Super B-DAMAN series, specifically out of all the B-DAMAN series, is how you were actually supposed to play with them. Obviously they shoot marbles, but what's the objective of the game? In the anime, the main focus seems to be on the power of the B-DAMAN and the accuracy and target practice. In the show, a lot of times they're just breaking blocks or trying to hit a robot in a sort of game of tag. I did end up buying a Super B-DAMAN just to check out for this video, and nowhere on the box is anything on the actual sort of gameplay of the series, and I wasn't able to find any sort of like arenas or play sets or anything like that that really indicated how you were supposed to play with it. I think the subsequent series, Battle B-DAMAN and Crossfire, definitely did a better job of sort of like creating dedicated ways to play with these. The only sort of gameplay element I was able to find anywhere was on the manual, and even then it's just shooting a block. And that's not to say that there isn't necessarily an arena or some sort of game mode that goes along with these. I just have no idea what it is, and I can't find any information on it. I even searched through Japanese YouTubers that play with these things, and most of the time it's just them modifying them or adding custom parts or things like that just to make them more powerful. And there's no shortage of upgrade parts. You can do some pretty insane things with these toys with various different parts that they released. So I ended up getting Koenig Cerberus, which has this rubber drive strip that increases power. But you can also rotate the barrel, and by doing so will change the direction of the marble. So if you rotate it to the left or the right, you'll get a curved shot, and if you put it on the top, then you'll get a backspin shot. I was able to get a hold of this Battle B-DAMAN set, so we're going to try some shots with it. We'll try a power shot first with that drive strip at the bottom. So I learned pretty quickly that I'm actually pretty terrible at this, and it's not very easy. I tried the backspin shot as well to see if maybe I would do better with that. And no, I suck. I think this tournament set is definitely a must-have if you're going to try to get into these. This has like a bunch of stuff that comes with it that offers a bunch of different game modes that I think is pretty cool. I think my favorite is B-DAMAN Invasion, which is kind of like air hockey. You've got this puck that you try to hit into your opponent's side of the field. This is a two-player mode, but I think it'd be pretty fun on like a rainy day. The series after Super B-DAMAN was Battle B-DAMAN, which did end up coming over to the West and was well received. The series after that was Crash B-DAMAN, which we never got, and the following series was Crossfire, which also got an English dub. The final episode of Crossfire would air in 2012, and we wouldn't see B-DAMAN again until a spiritual successor called Bottleman. So Bottleman carries the sort of same premise that B-DAMAN did, and it's made by Takara Tomy. The only major difference is that instead of shooting marbles, they now shoot bottle caps and are based off of drinks. The series has actually been going for a few years now, and there is currently an anime. I'm not sure if it's ever going to come to the West, but it's a pretty interesting toy. I think this series has actually won an award for being environmentally friendly because of the use of regular bottle caps. It promotes recycling. It's just crazy to me that this entire toy line branched off of a Bomberman tie-in. Even one of the spin-off B-DAMAN Bomberman toy lines was a spinning top that ultimately ended up influencing the creation of Beyblade. So Bomberman not only helped create B-DAMAN as it is today, or Bottleman rather, but also helped influence the creation of another huge property, Beyblade. And all from a game franchise that I overlooked after playing the original NES version. I do plan to spend some time going back and playing some of the Bomberman game sequels as well. I do have a handful of them for the Super Nintendo, which seem to be some of the more popular ones, and I do plan on playing these spin-off Beat-'em-on ones as well. If you guys are interested in seeing those on the channel, let me know. Leave a like, drop a comment, and I will see you guys in the next video.